Clock in. Clock in.
Yo, not Grussle. I'm grinding, I'm hustling.
But there are others, we're not really putting time in. We're not putting the work in. We're not clocking in so that we can do what God is calling us to do.
I didn't want to talk over this beat like that.
Just gotta let this one ride.
There's more to come as far as football.
Yeah, we're coming back. We're gonna know that.
Episode 94. Clock in the podcast.
Let's get right into the segment, bro.
Back.
Let's get it.
Nico in the building.
Yo, not Grussle. I'm grinding, I'm hustling.
Russell in the building.
You already know I'm here.
I love it when they count me out. I love it when they count me out.
Clock in. Clock
Okay,
in.
alright, he's back. He's back. He's back.
Yes, sir.
He's back.
Yes, sir. Hey, low key, that might have been my best intro.
That was tough.
That might have been my best intro.
That was
I'm not even gonna fake.
The way he rode the beat, that was
Yeah.
nice.
Round of applause for myself.
Clock in. Clock in.
Yes, sir. Episode 94, co-host here, Marshall Hamilton, the Clock in the podcast.
Co-host Austin Hamilton here. Like you said, episode 94. We are back. We're
back,
live. Not actually live, but right now we're live. It's live to be here,
Right.
but we're excited for this one. You know, we always want to add value, have fun, provide some good vibrations for the audience. And yeah, hopefully you all learn something, laugh. You might cry, I don't know. It could go that way. It could go that way.
We're not making no one cry today, I don't think.
We had some tears on the pod once.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm talking about, our message.
I
Our
know,
message.
I'm just playing.
We episode 10. Go ahead and check it out. Y'all that should probably be the first episode people listen to, especially if they're in the Hooper community. But yeah, it's great to be back. It's way too cold outside though.
Man, what?
It's way too cold outside.
You know it's too cold when you immediately just start getting ashy. Like, I just put lotion on. I went outside for 2 seconds and had to reapply.
Yeah, no, it's our people. For those who don't know, who may be new listeners, we're black. We're not built for this. Especially as dark skinned brothers, we're not built for this.
Hey, nah, this cold for me. Nobody. I'm
Hey,
actually out here.
It's definitely chapped lip and ashy elbow and ankle season. So,
And I be having the ankles out too, so I gotta put the Vaseline on. Even fake. I can't just put on the regular lotion.
yeah.
It's gotta be Vaseline.
Carmex, Vaseline.
Carmex don't really work for me.
Actually, I think it does. I think it makes it worse. I don't really rock with Carmex.
Nah.
You gotta,
Even the chapstick.
I got you.
What you got? Zoom in on this, Nick. Yeah, there you go.
See that right there? The cocoa butter. The gotta be the cocoa butter though.
Not too long because they're not paying us.
Yeah, you're right. All right.
Speaking of pain,
yeah. We gotta
good
get into
segue.
this pain. Yeah. So shout out to Echo Underwood, who's with
Clock
Arista Real Estate. You can see her wristband and her koozie right there if you're watching the YouTube. But she is a real estate agent who's registered in Virginia.
We need to call Ika, check in with her. We don't have to do that now.
Yeah, we got to do that one of these episodes. But she is registered in Virginia. One of the things I love about her is, she practices what she preaches, right? There are real estate agents who are trying to get you to buy a house, but they don't own a home, right? Not that that's necessarily a deal breaker, but she actually has three properties. One that she resides in and 2 investment. And then obviously she helps people buy and sell homes and educates people on the market. So she kind of covers all the bases. And on episode 56, we kind of get into her story, which is a really, really awesome story. So shout out to Aiko, and we appreciate your support.
Appreciate you, Aiko.
I don't know why I'm coughing like that. This is weather, man. But before we get into a few of the main topics, I feel like we got to talk about yesterday, man. For those who've been listening to the pod,
We'll keep it brief.
Yeah, it'll be quick. For those who've been listening to the pod for a little bit, you guys know we play in this Lifetime men's basketball league, which is a really run league. They have leagues all over the nation. Stats,
Ultimate hoops.
Official jerseys, legitimate refs. Like, it's the real deal, right? And we've been playing in it for the last 2 years mainly. We've had a lot of success in the league. We have won 3 straight championships. And on a quest for our 4th, actually tomorrow's the championship game. Excuse me, but the regular season was really bumpy. It's actually been our worst regular season ever. We were 4-4, and we went into the playoffs, kind of trying to just get back on track. But Austin and I made a declaration going into the playoffs. We live together right now. We talk just randomly about stuff, and we were like, we not only are trying to win, we're trying to make a statement in the playoffs. So first round game, we played against a team that we had beaten twice. Beat them by like 25 or something like that. It's pretty bad. And then yesterday in the semifinals, we played against the number 1 seed, who we played in the last 3 championships. Good team. We actually used to play with some of the guys on that team. And this is a lesson, man, that I think some people who are listening, especially that are hoopers, can listen to. Everything starts with energy and defense, man. And everything starts with energy and defense. And if you can disrupt another team's offense, even if you're not the most talented offensive team, it's going to lead to easy points. It's going to, kind of break their will, and things will become a lot easier. And that's kind of what we did yesterday, man. We were locked in defensively. Like, I don't think I've ever. We've been locked in. I don't think we've been locked in like that the whole game.
Yeah,
it's been very few games we've been locked in defensively, like from the tip to the buzzer.
Yeah,
and we ended up winning by 19 against a good team. Obviously they were the number 1 seed for a reason. Their only loss was to us in the regular season, but man, it was great energy. We had our guy DP back who had missed some games, so shout out to DP. But I think the biggest thing that a lot of people say about us, and again, another lesson you guys can take to your teams and to your overall just growth as a player, we don't really care whose night it is. And, there really isn't any ego on our team. We just want to win. And if that's what everyone's bought into, you'll beat teams that are just as talented or more talented than you, if you have that mindset. So I just wanted to talk about that because it was a pretty dominant win, man, and it all started with defense. So
yeah, I don't really have much to say on it. Job's not done. We got one more tomorrow, so hopefully we're lifting up the trophy again. And yeah, man, it's fun, right? Like playing obviously with your brothers, some good friends, and family having the opportunity to come and watch and be into it.
Right.
It's fun, man. So shout out to BA, all those guys that run the league. They do a great job.
Yep.
And their motto is to never retire. So it gives people that are not playing at a certain level, but still have that desire and hunger to play at a high level. So
I mean, Mike
appreciate
Bibby's
them for.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say appreciate them for providing, and Ultimate Hoops for providing the platform.
No doubt. Like Mike Bibby's been playing in that league for years. I just seen the clip. Joe Johnson was playing in a league game like yesterday or something like that.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. Darren Collison,
Yeah,
a lot
Collison.
of NBA players that either just retired or they've been out of the league and they're just trying to, stay sharp. Like Darren Collison, he played in that league and then ended up getting picked up by the South Bay Lakers, which is the Lakers G League team. So it's legit, man. And like he said, it's cool to play with each other, obviously as brothers. But now that we're training and we're teaching kids stuff, it also kind of puts the accountability and responsibility on us to practice what we're preaching. So we'll be brief today. Again, this will be another basketball-specific episode. Again, that's the main demographic that we serve outside of our jobs. For those who don't know, we have a basketball training company called The Goods Basketball, and it's the peak of basketball season, right? And a lot of people come to us for advice on certain things, and then there's just certain things that we don't have time to say, or we probably shouldn't say to people to their face, right? So this is another platform for us to send out certain messages that isn't
Your
necessarily.
kid sucks, all right? Your kid sucks. I'm gonna say it. No, I'm kidding.
That's not how we feel.
I might get canceled for that.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I got us canceled a long time ago.
That's why we had to switch the content.
Right, for real. Yeah, we used to talk about whatever was on my heart. And then,
Oh, Lord.
yeah, what was on my heart? Not that it wasn't right, but a lot of y'all weren't ready for that. So to keep us going and to keep the Hamilton family from getting death threats, we had to switch the content and have a protest outside. To stop any protests from outside our home, but. Anyways, the first topic is the importance of working out with other players, and then we're gonna also lump in and then just training on your own. Right? Is that what you meant by just 1v1, or did you mean playing, or did you mean playing one-on-one?
No, I meant training, individual training.
Got it.
Right. Yeah, and this is especially during this time, winter break. Seasons are kind of at a halt, so there's some time to kind of keep your tools sharp. But even just outside of that, like a lot of parents, they want individuals. Like, I just want one-on-one training, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but there's so many benefits to training with a partner or even someone who's at a higher level of skill, than that person. So. The message really is for parents to don't get so fixated on. I just want the one-on-one coaching. I think that's important for them. Yeah, that's good, but basketball is a team game. You're going to be playing against a person in front of you.
Yep.
And you're going to get benefits from playing against someone instead of cones, right? Like. There's going to be live defense, whether you're doing one-on-one. The competition of whoever makes 10 first wins. Loser has to run.
Right.
The communication part, the leadership part of, hey, you should do this drill a certain way or you should do this move a certain way. So again, there's just so many things that are beneficial to training with 1 to 2 to 3 people, right? So I'm encouraging parents to like don't get so locked in on I only need one, I just want this one-on-one time with a trainer. Like there's a time and a place for that, but I know for us, I don't know if I ever trained with somebody
training.
like one-on-one.
Nah, we never did one-on-one training.
Part of it is because we're brothers and we're closer in age, so we were always together.
But even like the kids who did, just thinking about like when we would go to Worldgate and, the guy who we trained with, when we would see him training with, someone, whether it's a guy or, a girl who, was middle school, high school, none of those people really panned out like in the game. And it's not anything against him or the player, right? The trainer obviously knew what he was doing, but how many industries do you do stuff to simulate real life one-on-one, which is like with just an instructor? Martial arts maybe at a certain degree, but I mean, look at our jobs. We're in sales, right? Before we get on a phone call or start doing stuff, we have mock calls, mock demos, mock interactions with either peers or managers, right? Like, he's in a job right now, and I have been in jobs where we got to cold call people. I can do this all day, read a script out loud as many times as I want to, right? But if the first time I actually try that script is in a real life cold call, I'm gonna sound awful, and then I'm not gonna know what to expect. I'm not gonna know how to handle objections. I'm not gonna know if a person says this. I'm not gonna know how to react, right? And it's the same thing in basketball. A lot of y'all are training with a trainer, and if possible, if I do one-on-one training, I like to be involved, right? I like to defend them. I like to have them defend me because I want them to get used to that. But my point is, a lot of y'all will train with a trainer who uses cones and equipment and so on and so forth. And then your first time testing out what they taught you is in a game. Maybe practice, but it's in a game.
It's probably the game or practice. And that's where the issue of not playing pickup comes into play.
Yeah.
And being able to test what you're learning in a live setting, right? Like train a girl, emphasis on ball handling and stuff like that. Well, you can look great in the drills, but when somebody's guarding you, you turn the ball over or you're quick to pass it. Why? Because you haven't put yourself in that position, like you said, the real test of when I have somebody in front of me, like how do I react? Basketball is a very reactive game, right? What moves do I need to make to get by a defender?
Yeah.
And you can't simulate that with 55 cones or a chair. So, again, the message there is to encourage your child or whatever to work with other people. But it's also like, I mean, it's a relationship thing too. And then when you're looking, like I know for me, if I know somebody who has better footwork than me, like it's a lot better to study it live and I can watch it live
And ask questions and
like as a trainer, if I have somebody at a certain skill level who might be higher than the other player, I'm saying, hey Connor, can you show him how to do this in and out cross?
Exactly.
Like watch Connor.
Because if you do it, it's not relatable. Well, you're Austin Hamilton, you're a trainer, so of course you can do it.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's really what I wanted to touch on because I get a lot of, hey, we really need this one-on-one, training. I think it would be beneficial. And then like sometimes even parents get to like kind of the certain learning needs or whatever, which I understand, but it's like, well, if you want to play basketball, you gotta be able to interact with people.
If you want to be successful in life and do anything, but especially basketball is a very communicative, sport. And honestly, what we've talked about is probably the number one disconnect between trainers, coaches, and parents. And this is what I mean. A trainer sees how their player looks in drills, right? The parent may see how they look, on their own or when they're working with the trainer. And then the coach sees how that player looks in practice, which typically isn't the same as what they look like with that trainer or parent. Or maybe they look okay in practice, but when they get in the game, they don't look the way they look in practice. So what he's talking about as far as having game simulation, real life competition against someone who's at your level or better can help transition from one phase to the next, right? And then obviously playing pickup, but if you don't have the opportunity to play pickup, one-on-one is one-on-one, 2-on-2, 3-on-3. It's a great way to simulate it. Because again, look at anything, man. Like, I mean, I look at basketball this way, maybe because I'm sick, but it's a battle, man. Like, it really is. I mean, that's how I look at it. Like, it's
in what way?
Like, two teams trying to beat each other.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like, it's a battle.
Yeah.
This isn't some like, oh, we're just gonna go on the court. It may not be football. It may not be hockey where you're physically like trying to hurt somebody, but it's a battle, right? And if you look at any military, they go through a ton of simulation. If you go cops, they go through simulation, right? Like that opponent is trying to destroy you. They're trying to embarrass you. They're trying to win, right? And that's the perspective that I feel like a lot of people they forget. And I know we're nicer these days and stuff like that, but if players, if they master things in training sessions against competition, and then they talk to the coach and they understand what their role is, and they execute that in practice, then they're more likely to execute in the game. The other problem is a lot of trainers don't talk to coaches, or parents don't talk to coaches about what that person's role is. Like, I hit up, if I have the coach's number, hey, what does this guy do in your offense?
Yeah.
Right? I'll ask if he's old enough or he can understand, like, what is your role on the team? Like, where do you catch the ball on offense? What types, when they're running sets, what are you doing? Because here's why.
What type of shots are you attempting in practice?
Exactly.
And being successful at.
Exactly.
Because we all know in a practice, if you shoot a certain shot, the coach is going to be like, I've never seen you take that shot. Why the heck are you shooting that? And if you do that in the game, then it's even worse.
And here's the thing, and again,
because you didn't do it in practice.
Another disconnect. This is where the disconnect comes from. Even if you can make that shot, right? Because here's what happens as a player. I've been there, as a parent or trainer. I've seen him make that shot a bunch of times. He just took that's his shot, and he's getting pulled or getting yelled at, and then now they have beef with the coach. Well, go to the coach. Hey, I'm curious. Why'd you get upset with him about whatever, or her about him taking that shot or her taking that shot? He may say she's never taken that shot in practice, because you got to remember the coach isn't at your training session.
No. So
he or she's going off of what they see in practice and in the games.
And that's another thing as far as trainers, and I see this at the highest level. It's like, why is Rudy Gobert working on an in and out crossover behind the back step back three? Would he ever shoot that?
Because it looks good.
So, we got to be realistic of, and it's also realistic of, what are you going to do in the game? Because I know for me, I can do any move out there, right? I'm not doing that in the game. One, because I don't have to.
You don't have to, yeah.
And two, when you're in a certain situation, right, it doesn't warrant a certain move or like a counter based on the offense that you're running, right? If I'm in an offense where I'm coming off, a lot of off the ball screens or like even pick and roll, then I'm not really doing a bunch of one-on-one moves to score, right? So like we as trainers, we got to dumb down and just simplify. And I know it's boring, but go watch Michael Jordan, and I'm not talking about his highlights. Go watch a game. Go watch Kobe Bryant.
Larry Bird.
The way they scored was boring.
Watch Kevin Durant.
They had highlights, sure, every
Watch
once in a while, but how many highlights a game are you getting? 2?
Watch Kevin Durant today.
It's all catch, one dribble, pull-up shot. You may do a crossover, setback, like... Seriously, like I'm not the fanciest guy out there. I can be if I need to.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, there's just a lot of unnecessary things that trainers do, and then these kids and players buy into that ultimately affects how they play, and it's not the right way.
I'm training a 10-year-old kid who has a lot of potential, and if they're in season, I ask them how the game go. Yeah, it went well or it didn't go well. First thing I ask is, did you guys win? Because that's what I care about. Like, did you guys win? No, yes or no, whatever. How did you do? I played like X, Y, and Z. So I asked this kid on Sunday, how the game went, and he was like, we lost. How'd you do? He was like, I did okay, but I kept turning the ball over when I was trying to drive to the basket. I'm like, well, what happened? Were you getting by the first man, and then, help came, and then you lost the ball, or they took it from you? And he was like, yeah. So what did we work on for like 20 minutes? Him in a triple depth position on the wing on the 3-point line, getting by his man. I'm playing the dummy help defender, and instead of him driving all the way to the rim, we worked on floaters. Why? Because that's what he was working on in the game. Another thing he struggled with was handling pressure. Now, I said, you may have even been here when I was doing this.
Yeah, I think I saw him.
But literally for like 15 minutes, we worked on, if someone is pressuring you in triple threat, how do you handle it? How do you pivot? And he didn't know how to pivot. Right? He didn't know how to pivot, cross step, protect the ball, lean into the guy to create some space. He literally would do what most kids do, put the ball above his head and lean back. Right? So the thing is, the difference between winning and losing is not this stuff. We were playing a game yesterday, right? And, this happens when you're up a lot, but, there was possessions, including myself, where, they were pressing and I turned the ball over, right? For the most part, we handled the press well, but knowing how to make, like, we do basic stuff like overhead passes, ball fake, step, bounce pass with your offhand. If you watch a college, high school game or any game, those are the passes you make in presses, right? So my point is, what I did with that kid was very boring. Very boring. Literally 15 minutes. And then the other part was how to handle pressure when, off the dribble, right? Because most kids...
That's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, as trainers, we have to know, what are you struggling with in game? And when we identify that, we're going to work on it. Like, if I see that, like you said, if I see that you can't handle the press, or, you may not be shooting that well from the corner, we're working on that the next day. It's that simple. Like, we're not about to be doing a million moves with a bunch of cones. No, like, we have to be better teachers of the game, but also situational teachers of the game. So, parents, you're looking for different trainers, and they may have a lot of cool content and stuff like that, which is great, but do you know how to break a press? Do you know what pass to make in a 2-3 zone? Do you know how to beat a 2-3 zone? Do you know how to make certain reads off a ball screen? If these trainers aren't teaching you that, because we're coaches too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I've been saying I've been shying away from the coach title, but we're coaches too. Like we that's just we're a part of that coaching.
And I don't even really like using the term trainer as much.
Yeah.
We're teachers of the game. That's how I look at it. We're teachers of the game.
And that's always the most important thing. Obviously, we want to get your skills, better and hone. But at the end of the day, the best players in the history of the game know how to play the game. How many players in the NBA or at any level are just crazy talented, but they don't know how to play? LeBron even said it. I think it was LeBron in like one of his Shop episodes. He's like, you'd be surprised at how many people like actually know how to play the game of basketball.
A lot of these people they don't
at that level.
They don't,
and you can see it.
Yeah, you
can see it.
And the other thing that I wanted to say when it comes to something you mentioned when you were like, what types of shots do you take in the flow of your offense? Here's the reality, parents and players and trainers. You don't have any say in your team's offense in choosing what type of offense that you're going to play in until you're choosing the college you're going to go to. That's just the reality of it. Your youth coaches have an offense. Your AAU coaches have an offense. Your middle school, high school team, they have an offense. And they're not – it's rare. I mean, maybe –
Some AAU teams don't got no offense.
They don't have no offense. Yeah, but they –
probably most of them got no
And
offense.
that's part of the problem too. Like, they get to high school or other, organized basketball and then they don't know what to do. But anyways, my point is you don't have control over, the offensive concepts your coach has. You may become talented enough, or you may be talented enough to the point where they revolve it around you. That'll happen to some of you. It won't happen for most of you. So my point is, you have to figure out how to maximize, your role in your team's offense. And if you maximize it in high school, you may, when you're choosing a college, if you're fortunate enough to, it'll make your college choice easier. Or if you're transferring, if you want to transfer from one high school to the next, right? All right, I know that I thrive in a dribble drive offense or a pick and roll based offense or a flex offense, right? If you know that, then guess what? That'll make your college choice easier. So, you gotta be realistic about that. Like, you don't have control over the offense. You have control over your role you can increase your role in the offense, depending on how you perform and different things like that. But when you're training with your trainers or working out on your own or working out with other people, you need to take those types of shots. Like, and then also in relationships, we had my boy Crump. His name's Keith Crump, but I call him Crump. On a couple episodes ago, he's best friends with another college friend of mine who was a walk-on named Sophion Bernouk, and they didn't just become friends because they are close because they live next to each other in the dorms, and he walked on. They worked out together all the freaking time. Late night, in between classes, and Soph, even though he wasn't as good as Crump, like, he was constantly trying to motivate him, and he was pushing him with his work ethic, right? And now Soph is a very well-known, social media content creator, right? And guess who he decides to partner with when he opens up a restaurant and does these other things with his brand, which has been growing, is Crump. Right? Now, is it just Crump because he likes him and he's a good guy? I mean, that probably plays a part in it, but no, they've been in the trenches together. So, like, here's what you guys can do. You know, we talked about working out with other people. Well, you know, unfortunately, we have to spoon fed information to these kids these days. Like they don't try to find out stuff on their own. That's a whole nother topic, and it's not really their fault. But my point is,
Yeah, I was gonna say I wouldn't be blaming the kids.
yeah, it's not their fault. But there's what Austin and I used to do. Obviously, we lived together, so that was a given. But you know, going into my senior year, we would text Isaac Johnson, Jonathan Beltran, you know, people who you know had access and were members to the gym we were at that were on our team,
and also had cars.
And that car, yeah, that's a big one. Jonathan could walk.
We ain't drive, so
Jonathan could walk, but we would in the off season we'd link up at Worldgate, and then it's funny, like me and you would pretty much like run the workout to a degree. Like, hey, we're about to literally, you know, we start out like the volleyball line. We're gonna go downhill, make a move to the 3-point line, layup. We'd all choose a move, whatever. Then into a jumper. Then we get shots up. Like we did that
on our own.
On our own.
No trainer.
No trainer. In college, Austin and I, you know, obviously we would work out together, but we hit up Errol Robinson. And sometimes Scotty Reynolds would train with us. You know, we were looking for guys who had a similar work ethic to you know, and that, you know, preferably were better than us to work out with. So,
and I have to say this because I think a lot of people that have had success in basketball, you got to get back, man. You know, you mentioned some names that we looked up to, and grateful, forever grateful for them giving back and teaching us some things. But if you have had success in the game, like individual success, you know, you got to be able to give that back, because eventually the game's going to be done for you. And, you know, I think that's just kind of how life works, man. It comes full circle. So the message is, don't be so
be Hollywood, man.
Yeah, don't be so Hollywood, or just I'm chilling, man. I'm cool off that. Like, nah, man. If somebody reaches out to you, or you even see that kid has some potential, hey, just invite him to a workout.
Yeah.
Right? Like, give him a few pointers on, you know, what the next level is going to be like. I know I've done that. People would reach out to me, whether it was in college or post-college, ask me to work out. Yeah. Because it goes a long way, man. I had to say that because I've heard about some guys that have kind of, you know, big time some people.
Yeah.
I'm not calling anyone out, but, you know, if you're in that position to where you have people that look up to you, you know, it's about paying the game forward, because the game has provided so many opportunities for you.
Right.
And you can't take that for granted. So that's just one way to just kind of pay it back, man. Yeah. So I had to say that.
And if you're in a player asking, make sure you're already putting in work.
That too.
And you know, the guy who you're asking will tell if you have actual potential, right? So, you know, sounds bad, but some of you are working hard and you're not really gonna go far with the game, so they're kind of like, well, I mean, I could give you some pointers, but you know, you're probably
there's levels to it, for sure.
But like Ashkan was on. I don't remember the episode number, but Ashkan did another really good episode. Right? There's a saying, you can't move a parked car, right? Like he was driving already. He just didn't know which way to go. So right. Scotty Reynolds, who's again one of the best players in Virginia history and in our high school, he's the best player in high school's history, was open to working out with him because Ashkan genuinely wanted to improve. And he already had potential, and he was super coachable. And he was working hard. Like, he was at the gym all the time. Yeah. And that's another way to get noticed. If you just go to the gym, you never know who's going to walk in. Which is why you need to be able to work out on your own without a trainer. If you only go to the gym with the trainer, one, you're not in the gym. You're probably in the gym once a week. And if, let's say, someone who, is a current player or former player who can help you, say they're in the gym, when you're training with somebody, they're probably going to think, I'm not going to interrupt, or, they already got somebody, right? So if you're just in the gym all the time, there's a good likelihood someone's going to come in that can bless you,
It's amazing to me that kids don't really be coming up to us. Obviously they know who we are as far as trainers and stuff, but not even like questions sometimes.
I know what it is. Some of it is just these kids are more socially awkward, and some of it is just they may feel kind of intimidated, or they just don't know what to say.
Yeah, it could be
because I don't think it's that they're not necessarily interested. They just don't know what to say. Some of it is, again, in this social media fake world, if they haven't heard of you, then they try to almost big time. You're like, oh, I'm training with this person, or I don't see you on TikTok or Instagram, doing crazy numbers. But that's okay. That's all right, because guess what? If you're of age, and
we've done this multiple times,
and you're playing pickup at the gym,
we might make it.
We might volunteer ourselves to play, and you won't forget it. You won't forget it. All right. The last topic as we close out is knowing what to work on when you work out, and this isn't just basketball. This is life. This is in your job, right? Like, whatever your business, like knowing what you need to do to improve, right? And knowing what you need to work on. There are a lot of kids who are in the category of going to the gym often, but they don't really know what to work on. Which is wild to me, because there are a lot of trainers who actually give, like on social media, who actually give good pointers, tips. A lot, especially if it's TikTok. I mean, they're literally telling you like step by step stuff that you can do, right? Now, does that mean that it's the right thing for you to do? I mean, not necessarily, but it's a start, because a lot of y'all just go in there, launch up shots that you'll never shoot in the game. Don't go game speed. Do that for 30 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour, and then you just leave, right? So going back to what we were talking about, it all comes together. What types of shots are you going to shoot in the game, right? What is your role in the offense?
And do you recall what shots you were attempting in the game?
That's another thing, because a lot of y'all are. And this is just a mental thing. Your brain is moving so fast and you're not relaxed that, it's kind of like when you take the SAT or you take this big test, and if someone were to ask you like, well, what was on that test? I don't know. I don't even remember, dog. That's happened to me in college, and I got good grades on some of those tests. If you'd ask me like, how to explain the answer and how I got it, I wouldn't be able to do it, because I was just like, I'm just trying to pass the test. So awareness, right? Like, you need to be aware, if possible. Especially these days, it's so much easier to do than back in the day. Like, have your parents film on your phone, or their phone. There's Huddle now, right? Which is like a freaking cheat code.
For those of you who don't know what Huddle is, it's streaming service where it's pretty much like on demand of like, anybody who has the ability to record, for max an hour, I don't know what it is. You have access to that like immediately.
Yeah.
So for example, high school game, you got a manager recording it. You literally upload it to the Huddle app, and you could break it down,
like any kind of video streaming, or not streaming, but video, editing service for sports or whatever.
Right.
And you have it like immediately, like hours later. When we were coming up, you had to have a freaking VHS tape, or a DVD. Literally, like
Tapes too, yeah.
literally after a game, I could get a notification to my phone. Oh, the game's up, and I can watch film right then and there.
Right. Dog, I went. It wasn't huddle, but like a couple kids that I know or train. Their games are on the NFHS, which is National Something High School Network. I don't know what that stands for. Federation, maybe, I don't know. But they upload pretty much any high school sport game in the country if it was filmed and uploaded. So I like looked at the game and like chopped up some clips, sent them to them. Here's what you did well. Here's what you need to improve on. But my point is, you need to be aware of the shots that you're taking, but also the shots that your coach wants you to take.
Yeah.
Because you may not be taking the shots that they want you to take. So now again, we've talked about this. Like, you have some ability to change their mind if you work on the things that you need to work on, consistently, and then execute it in practice. So, number one,
in practice, keywords,
exactly.
Practice. Right. You can't just show up in the game and then just start shooting, one-legged fadeaways. Because if you're not doing that in practice or in pickup, you're gonna get pulled. Like, that's just the nature of it.
Yeah. So number one, what types of shots does your coach want you to take? Right. Ask them, and then work on it. Number two, what shots are you taking in the game that you have the ability to make, but you're not making them? Right? Like, it could be shots you make in practice, pickup, and workouts. Some workouts, but like, if you can make threes, or maybe you're not a great 3-point shooter, but you're getting open threes often. I don't know. Whatever. Like, whatever shots you're taking in the game and not making, or struggling with, or not making consistently, work on those.
One thing we used to do in college, and it made a ton of sense. So pretty much every practice, we called it bolts of lightning. 3 minutes on the clock, and you're just shooting threes. Guards had to make a certain number to have like a license to shoot threes in the game. Bigs had to make a certain number to have a license to either shoot threes or like 15-footers. Simple, right? Like, you have the privilege of, attempting these shots because you've earned it.
Yeah.
So, whether it's saying this to coaches or, players, if you're not making shots in practice, what makes you think you're going to make shots in the game, let alone have the ability to attempt those shots?
Right. So,
it always starts in practice. Even before that, it starts in your workouts and how you prepare. Because eventually, it's going to catch up, whether you're making them or you're not. And again, you got to have that mindset of, I'm going to do whatever I can in practice to show that coach that it would be a mistake not to play me. And it starts with you being realistic with yourself, which a lot of people aren't when it comes to their, athletic careers. Because, like, I can do this, I can do that. Well, are you doing it in practice? Because if you're saying all this stuff, then, either the coach is blind or you're not telling the truth.
Yeah, when I wasn't playing consistently my senior year, there were times where I knew I could have helped the team, that I felt like I should have played more. But I never was like, man, coach is this and coach is that, and he doesn't know what he's doing. Not at varsity. My JV coach, 100%. 100%. He was, that's a whole nother story. But Wheeling, I've always been real with myself.
And guess what? The best practice I had, up until or before I started, the best practice I had was Christmas tournament, right before our second game of that tournament. And I had a great practice. And I started the next day. And I had 20 points. Literally my best game all season was that, like scoring wise. I don't think
Probably
it
got
was.
you into Ferrum, that tournament.
That tournament, yeah. I mean, if I played more the first game, I probably would have made the all tournament team.
I'm forever sick of it.
Yeah, Austin. Part of it was because, I mean, for those who don't know, Austin started over me as a sophomore. I was a senior.
We don't need to.
He wasn't available for that tournament.
Yeah, we don't need. Well, now we can tell. It's a silly story. Like one of the most fluke things ever. We're actually about to go to Worldgate to hoop, and I'm pretty sure the bump was crazy that day too. Like Scotty and them might have been back.
Yeah.
And I'm leaving the front door. I think I was the last one out, like headed to the car, and I just freakishly closed the door on my own pointer finger, and my whole nail came off. Like till this day, one of the most painful things like I've ever experienced.
And I don't know how it's possible.
I don't know either.
No, I've done it.
Okay.
I closed my pinky. Like, I was shutting the door like that.
Yeah.
Closed my pinky.
The way I did it,
trigger pain too. It didn't hurt immediately. It's like it starts
throbbing. But like my joint, like when I tell you, like
his nail was gone.
The whole nail, like it was clean, came off, just started leaking, and I'm like, oh, like this is bad. I look at it, I could see my nail, and I'm just leaking, and I remember going to the emergency room, just throbbing, like, oh, it was so painful. I mean, I missed like
5 games,
4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
And
that
happened to be the tournament.
Yeah.
Where like,
I mean
there were some college coaches there.
That was God looking out for me.
Yeah,
that's the only reason why that happened.
Nah, for real.
Honestly, because
if you don't play like that, then
I don't get into
the
rotation.
Yeah, you don't get in a rotation, and you don't build. Your playing time.
Yeah.
So
this is sum it up. In my opinion, this is just me. This is just purely shot making, right? I'm not talking about other components of your game. Just shots offensively that you take, right? The shots that your coach wants you to take, the shots that you can make that you're missing, and then the last priority should be the shots that you need to work on to take your game to the next level, right? That doesn't mean that a lot of you do the opposite. Literally, you take the shots that you need to work on to get to that next level, and that's what you focus your workout on, and then you don't do it in practice, and then you don't do it in the game, or you try it in the game and then you get pulled, right? When it needs to be the opposite. Like you need to figure out what your coach wants you to do, and then the stuff that you're missing, and then then the stuff you need to work on, and then the other thing I'll say is some of this stuff will be position specific, right? And I look at it 2 ways. What position, depending on where you're at and what your goals are, what position am I playing now? Because I need to work on that stuff, right? To be good at, my role. But what position am I going to play 2 to 3 years from now? Whether that's if I'm a freshman and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, all right, what am I going to play varsity? Wise, at that position, or you may be a junior and senior, and you're trying to play in college, and you may be 6'4", and they have you playing the 4 because you're the tallest person on the team, but you may want to play Division II or Division I, so you should probably start working on guard skills.
Yeah,
right.
Isaac Johnson was a great example. Isaac 6'3", maybe, and he was a post on our team. He had to be. But, he was still constantly working on his guard skills, extending out his shooting range. Because he knew at the college level, he would have to be kind of that tweener 3. He'd play a little bit of 4, but, he'd be out on the wing.
Yeah.
So, but he didn't neglect his role on the high school
He
team.
still was a dog in the post.
I'm going to have to score in the post. I'm going to have to guard, post players. But I'm still going to work on, looking ahead, what's going to get me playing time at the next level.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's simple, what you need to work on. The last thing I'll say is look at people that are in that position that you're in and want to be at, whether it's in college, could be a high school peer, could be in the NBA or another pro player, and look at how they play and try to emulate some of that stuff.
Somebody needs to just come to watch the kids play in this lifetime.
In the championship tomorrow, 8:30. Actually, it'll be past by the time y'all listen to this.
Nah, you're right.
Yeah. Episode coming out Thursday. We record on Tuesday. Championship was on Wednesday. And we about to get this ring.
About either win.
Yes, sir. Another one. 4 times. Let's get it.
I like this beat, man.
Clock in.
Merry Christmas, man.
Yeah, happy holidays.
Merry Christmas is on a Sunday.
Some of y'all are celebrating Hanukkah right now.
If this was the After Dark, I would have repeated Pinky. Merry Christmas. We're not going to do that. Yeah. But seriously, Merry Christmas. Hope y'all enjoy it. Happy Hanukkah. This is the best time, man. Being family, loved ones.
Get some rest. You can get some rest.
Kwanzaa.
I don't know anyone who celebrates Kwanzaa.
I think Zora and Kev celebrate.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I think, you know what? I think McKellen and them did.
Yeah, they do.
Am I lying, Nico?
I can see that, but
I thought they did it. But, yeah, happy Kwanzaa.
Hey, still clock in, though.
You already know.
Clock in.
Grussle riding in our hustle.
Hey, cool cats.
Shout out
This is
Omar.
Mama J. And you're listening to my son, Russell.
Merry Christmas to y'all, man.
We didn't even. Did we do the Europe in the beginning?
Yeah, we did.
All right. We got some respect on it. Hey, be on the lookout for the 100th episode celebration. We gotta figure something out. Y'all still listening?
Right.
It's like the Marvel movies at the end. The Marvel movies at the end. You gotta stay for the extra scene.
you gotta wait till they turn the lights on in the theater.
Yeah.
If they don't turn the lights on in the theater, then it ain't over.
It ain't over. Yeah. So we gotta look out.